The pro-Palestinian encampment at McGill made headlines again this week after it was reported that they would be hosting an anti-Israel revolutionary youth summer program. What they were pledging to educate the youth of Montreal. To accompany it, of course, very controversial imagery showing basically masked gunmen with assault rifles. A lot of reactions, both across the political spectrum and also Montreal citizens just wondering when this will end. So to try to understand what's going on with the city's reaction to all of this, I'm now joined by Alain Vaillancourt. He is responsible for public security on the executive committee of the city of Montreal. Alain, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
So you were quoted on Monday in La Presse, and I will translate literally, talking about that imagery that shocked so many people. You said, and I quote, cette affiche, this poster is completely unacceptable, shocking for us. That quote is accurate, correct, from you?
Yeah, I said that in City Council on Monday.
So the first question I have for you is on this specific topic. I haven't seen any public comments from Mayor Plante on this. Why not coming out on this?
Well, she's denounced every act that's come out. She has, and I'm the representative.
But not this one specifically. She didn't come. There are a lot of Montrealers that are because I'm sorry to interrupt, but on this, I think this is an important question because, you have the federal immigration minister and Montreal MP, Marc Miller, coming out. You have the higher education minister of Quebec coming out, MPs, M&As. A lot of people have come out. You have come out, and I respect what you've said, but a lot of people are questioning why this is a week now since this poster came out on social media, and no reaction from Valérie Plante. Why not?
Well, I reacted in council. I represent the administration for public safety. I think I came out strong, and she agrees with the statement. And she came out publicly, I think, during council also on the actual image. I also said that beyond the fact that we find it unacceptable and shocking, truly. I don't know if people know, but the SPVM has opened up an investigation, have discussed the issue with the RCMP. So it's taken seriously, and we're acting on it. And, I'd like to add, I think we'll get into it later in the discussion, but, I think it's important. I get asked the question a lot, as an elected official, why don't, I instruct the police to do this, to do that, not only on this, but on all kinds of issues, on violent crime, et cetera, on different things. And I can understand that it's difficult for people when they see things that they seem to think there's no action taken and that we're not doing anything. But I think as an old elected official, and
I'm not that old.
I would say an ex, and a lawyer, that it's really important. I mentioned it in council, but it's really important that in our democracy, I don't want to go into big philosophical discussions, but that the separation of power is important. I am not here to dictate what the police, in their operations, what they do. We have full confidence in the SPVM and the chief as to how he's handling the situation. He's outlined clear guidelines as to when he's going to intervene, under what conditions, and he's sticking by that. He has experience from the Oka crisis, from the Occupy movement, as to how to deal with it in our society. And I know I understand it's difficult. I know there's a lot of frustration, but it's really important that as elected officials on all levels, we respect that independence as far as the police operations and how they manage situations, and we need to stick to that. I know it's difficult. We want action. We want things quickly, but, things need to be done in an orderly way. And that's the way our democracy works. And we have full confidence that the SPVM is doing what they need to do as far as the encampment is going, as far as the protests. When there's violence, when there's hate crimes, when there's hate incidents, they act, they arrest people, and there has been arrests. There's been over 31 files sent to Quebec City for the DPCP, for the prosecution to look at. So a lot of stuff is being done. It's just that perhaps, it's not announced and people don't really know what's being done. So I appreciate the opportunity to say what we're doing, but that notion to us is very important, and I think it's important on all levels of government.
Well, I understand what you're saying about not intervening directly in police procedures, but at the same time, when you have an elected official responsible for public security like yourself saying this is unacceptable, and then following that, there's absolutely nothing else that's done. I think a lot of us are justified in saying, well, hold on a second. I mean, it can't just be, it's unacceptable and it's up to Fadi Daguerre to decide if ever there's going to be action. At some point, where is the line drawn? Ultimately, elected officials have a responsibility here, and
I agree.
And the police ultimately works for the city.
I agree. We have, when I say something's unacceptable, I think we need to, publicly denounce any act of discrimination, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. I mean, that's our duty, and we need to come out strong, and our statements have done so. But I'll come back, when it comes time to, despite the fact that I think, or our administration thinks, or someone thinks that the situation is unacceptable, we can't tell the police what to do. I don't think
police have acted in other contexts, and I get it. I get your position, but police, we've seen police departments act in Calgary. We've seen police departments act in Quebec City. We've seen police departments act elsewhere in the United States. So it's not where this is like, this is the way to do things. There have been different instances where police departments have interpreted this situation differently.
Where police have, our police have also acted, and everywhere else where police have acted, it's not the elected officials that have told the police to go act. The police will act upon their own defined criteria under the rule of law.
Exactly.
And that's what the SPVM has done. So, June 6th, they acted when people went into McGill and occupied the building illegally and vandalized. They stopped. They went in, arrested people. In numerous protests, they've arrested people. In encampment, if there's any violence, they're ready to act. But two Superior Court judges have, under two different injunctions, have even stated that for the moment there's no urgency, there's no violence shown in the encampment, and the police have specific criteria. As soon as someone crosses the line, action will be taken.
So what is that line? Define that line. So somebody has to be hurt physically for you to move?
I'll give you the lines for the encampment. There's three specific criteria that have been established by the SPVM. One is there a legal basis to go in? And injunctions have shown that so far there isn't.
That's not right. That's not accurate. That's not correct. That's not correct. That's not the same criteria. The criteria for provisional injunction, I'm sorry, are not the same for the police, what Fadi Daguerre has done. That's not the same criteria at all.
There has to be a legal basis for the police to intervene in the case.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing as an injunction legal basis.
Okay, well, the three criteria is that there has to be a legal basis for them to intervene, and so far there hasn't been. There needs to be a clear need to intervene as far as urgency and violence in the encampment, and so far there hasn't been shown that to be in the encampment. And there has to be an immediate safety for the people in the encampment and the surroundings. So those are if one of those are crossed, or if one of those are deemed that cross the line, then there will be intervention. But so far, there hasn't been a need to under those three specific criteria. So it's not true that the SPVM is not doing anything. They've made arrests. They're talking to everybody. They've been present in the protests. They've had 31 files sent to DPCP.
Yeah, okay. You've already said that. You've already said that. No, I'm interrupted. You've already said that, Alain. What I want to know at this point is that there have been there's an increase in anti-Semitic acts. Yet again, this morning I'm talking about a restaurant that got riddled with bullets, owned by a Jewish person. There's obviously, the data is clear. There's more and more anti-Semitic acts. People don't feel safe in the city. So if you're not going to act on this, What steps are you taking? Not the police. What are you taking to make the city safer for this phenomena? If you're not going to act on this, what is being done?
I'm not saying it. I don't think it's accurate to say we're not acting on it.
Well, tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're doing, because anti-Semitic acts are on the rise in the city.
What I'm saying is,
what are you doing?
You're specifically talking about the restaurant, or?
No, anti-Semitic acts are on the rise since October 7th. So what are you doing to combat that?
Well, I think we all have a role. I think I told you.
No, you have a role. You're responsible. Your role. What are you doing as responsible for public security for the city of Montreal on the executive committee? What is being done by the Plante administration to respond to the rise in anti-Semitic acts since October 7th?
Well, I think we're showing that it's unacceptable. We denounce it. We're meeting with all the leaders. We've been present. We clearly, ensure that the police presence is there. My role is to make sure that the police has all the resources possible to deal with any anti-Semitic acts, any hate violence, any hate crime incidents. My role is to make sure that they have everything they need to act on it, and they're doing so. When there's an incident, we're present. We talk. We engage in everybody. We denounce it publicly. Everything is being done. We meet with the leaders. We have constant communication with everybody.
Alain, I'm sorry, but that's not accurate. When I interviewed Fadi Daguerre 3 weeks ago on Montreal Now, he told me that he was missing 420 cops. When you're saying we're giving him all the resources, Fadi Daguerre himself saying publicly, I don't have enough cops to do my job.
Well, I think we have to separate two things. One is that we're providing him, for example, for the hate crimes unit, we've doubled the investigators for them to allow them to do more investigations. There's more arrests. We've put every single resource possible to go and recruit more police. This last year, it's the first time in 5 years last year that there's 100 more police officers on the street net than there's ever been. So it's, we're doing everything we can to provide him with the resources to act on what he needs to do. When he talks about there's a lack of 400 police officers, he's talking overall, but never has there been a situation as far as, what we're seeing since October 7th, where he has not had the resources on the ground to act upon, to secure institutions, to make sure the protests go well. Every single police station is in touch with every single institution locally, whether it's a Jewish community or the Islamic community. And when protection is requested, when protection is needed, the police officers are there at synagogues, at different institutions. Never has there been an instance where we haven't been present and where the police presence hasn't been what it's needed to be.
Right.
We've had overtime.
All right.
So I'm telling you, what I'm saying is that I understand the frustration. We're there. The police are doing what they need to do, and we'll continue to work on it, and we'll continue to make sure that people are safe.
All right, I'm out of time. Alain Vaillancourt, thank you very much this morning.
Thank you.
He is the head of public security on the executive. He's responsible for public security, at the executive committee of the city of Montreal for the Plante administration, Alain Vaillancourt.